Alrighty. Yo, this is going to be fun, y'all. Guess what? I'm sorry for the lateness. Yeah, I seem to have a problem with that, but it's summertime. It's summertime, so I have some extra little activities going on. But check this. You won't believe it. Maybe some of you will believe it. It's really ridiculous. We're going to talk about MAGA today. MAGA, and all of the right wingers talking about 17 something, blah, 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 talking about Independence Day, who fought for the country, who did all this. What's up? What's up, Gerard, Jamal? What's up, bro? Yeah. Oh my goodness. This is so ridiculous. So let me just get into it. You will be very surprised at what is there. I couldn't believe it myself. I am just tripping out over the information. But yeah, it is ridiculous. Now, Steve Bannon, everybody knows who Steve Bannon is, right? Let me show you who Steve Bannon is first. Mr. Big Mouth, Steve Bannon. Let's see here. Steve Bannon. Let's see. This is the guy, right? Who got a whole lot to say about Trump. He's in jail right now, by the way. And but he's been around talking that stuff, talking that MAGA stuff for a minute. He's been promoting Trump. He's been down with Trump since his election campaign. Here we go. Look, let's get a little bit of who we talking about here with Steve Bannon. This is so pathetic, but it is what it is, and people got to know what it is. You're going to get a chance to hear it for yourself, and you tell me what you think it do. Now let's see here. 1, 2, 3. Now check this out, y'all.
Day. That's how Steve Bannon is describing Inauguration Day 2025. If Donald Trump wins a second term, the longtime Trump ally delivering a series of chilling warnings at a conservative gathering in Detroit. Vowing a win by Trump means investigations and prosecutions of anyone who has crossed the former president.
November 5th is Judgment Day. January 20th, 2025 is Accountability Day. Trust me, on the afternoon of the 20th, we're also going to start the pick and shovel work to take apart the administrative state and to take on its rogue element, the Praetorian Guard, the deep state. We're going to run them all out of town. Are you prepared to fight? Are you prepared to give it all? Are you prepared to leave it all on the battlefield? Ladies and gentlemen, it's very simple. Victory or death.
Well, you could dismiss this as a Trump ally who's saying it's not Trump, but this is what the former president himself has said about the idea of retribution.
And for those who have been wronged and betrayed, I am your retribution. Based on what they've done, I would have every right to go after them. Well, revenge does take time. I will say that.
It does.
And sometimes revenge can be justified.
Okay, you're a Republican strategist. Sure, that riles up the base, but is that the message, the language you want to appeal to swing voters?
Look, obviously, the president has a unique way of communicating, and a lot of these sort of comments are common for his stump speech and what he says on the trail. But we have seen a lot of voter dissatisfaction as it relates to institutions. So I actually don't think this falls on deaf ears. I think there is an audience out there that does want a degree of disruption, that does want some accountability in Washington, and they haven't liked what they've seen from Joe Biden over these last 4 years.
Now look. Now, these people, they want some accountability, right? Now, let's check this out. What is this? 17, what do they say? Is it 1776 they keep saying? Isn't that what they keep saying, right? 1776. Here we go. Right. Here we go. Check
I'm
this
going to be away from the computer a little bit more than usual today, so I want to give a little summary of things that I haven't covered yet today, and also give you a little talk about what might be coming next. Before that, I want to say thank you to everyone that's used.
So, that's what they go on, the 1776 restoration movement. They all talking about the Constitution. They all talking about the War of Independence. They all talking about, that their founding fathers did this, and the founding fathers is their founding fathers, right? They always say that, right? But what if I told you Steve Bannon family wasn't even in the United States during the War of Independence? Nope. What if I told you? Well, anyway, let's look it up because I don't want to say too much, but check this out. Let's check it out now. Go over to Chat GDP and look at this. Look what it says. Did Steve Bannon's family migrate to the USA in 1845? Now, check this out. Look, check this. There is no specific public information confirming that Bannon's family migrated to America in 1845. While it's known that Bannon has Irish and German ancestry, the exact dates and circumstances of his ancestors' migration to America are not widely detailed in public records or biographical sources. Many Irish immigrants came to America during the mid 19th century, particularly around the time of the Great Famine, 1845 and 1852. That's not obviously 1776. That's almost a century after. Now look, and German immigrants also arrived in significant numbers during that period. It is possible that his ancestors were part of these waves of immigration, but without specific genetical data, it's not confirmed that 1845 was the year. Now, check this out. I also looked it up in another thing. Here we go. Let's see here. Let me look this up one more time. I don't know if I can show y'all this. I'm going to see if I can show you what it said on my phone. I thought this was so hilarious. Now, let me see. First of all, for somebody talking about 1776 and how important it is to, the Constitution, and we fought for this and we fought for that, you would think it would be public record when his family came. You would think it wouldn't be that hard to know, right? When Biden's family came, right? That's easy to know when Biden's family came. Biden's family came in the middle of the 19th century. That's 18 something. It's before the Civil War. His family came 40 years before the Civil War. Trump's family came 30, I think 20 something years after the Civil War, right? Now, we went over that yesterday. Now, Steve Bannon, you can't even hear where his family came from because he don't even want you to know. Now, check this out. I looked it up on my phone, right? And it says it's a similar statement. Steve Bannon's family, like many American families, has a mixed ancestry that includes several generations of migration. Bannon himself has discussed his family Irish and German roots. His Irish ancestors and Bannon's immigrated to the United States in the mid-19th century during the Great Famine, which occurred between 1845 and 1852. The exact timing of his German ancestry migration is less clear, but it's likely around the same time period or a bit later, given the typical migration patterns from Germany to America during the 19th century. Now, let me see something here, because I want to show y'all this. I don't want you to think I'm making this up, right? Now, check this out. 2 seconds. Let's see here. All right, let me see here. Can I turn this on? Oh, okay, my fault. Let me see if I can get the camera to work here. Can y'all see now? Right, here we go. Now check this out. Look, can you see on my phone what it says? Steve Bannon's family, like many. Oh, first of all, it's Chat GDP, just so you know. Hold on, let me turn this off. It's Chat GDP, just so you can see, right? On my phone. Now it says Steve Bannon's family, like many other American families, right? Dang, go on. Can y'all see it? There you go. And I'm going to read it for you. Steve Bannon's family, like many American families, has a mixed ancestry that includes several generations of migration. Bannon himself has discussed his family's Irish and German roots. His Irish ancestors, the Bannons, immigrated to the United States in the mid 19th century. So they know this. During the Great Famine, which occurred between 1845 and 1852. The exact timing of his German ancestors' migration is less clear, but it's likely around the same period or a bit later, given the typical migration patterns from Germany to America during the 19th century. Now, let me see. Is it because I'm logged in on the wrong chat GDP? Okay, 2 seconds. I can change that because I really want y'all to know that that this is what it says. You see what I mean? So 2 seconds here. Let me say like this, and let me go into this one. I think it's on this one right here. So let's see here. Here we go. It must be here now. Let's come again now. Come on, man. What is this? Oh, I can close this down now. If I go over to this one, there we go. Here it is, y'all. This is exactly it. You see? Just because I don't want nobody to think I'm making this up. This is what I typed. When did Steve Bannon's family migrate to America? Steve Bannon's family, like many American families, has a mixed ancestry that includes, right? Oops, daggone. Did I do this right? That includes several generations of migration. Bannon himself has discussed his family Irish and German roots, his Irish roots. Let me press play here.
Steve Bannon's family, like many American families, has a mixed ancestry that includes several generations of migration. Bannon himself has discussed his family's Irish and German roots. His Irish ancestors, the Bannons, emigrated to the United States in the mid-19th century during the Great Famine, which occurred between 1845 and 1852. The exact timing of his German ancestors' migration is less clear, but it is likely around the same period or a bit later, given typical migration patterns from Germany to America during the 19th century.
Look, so this dude's family, look at this. I want y'all to see this now. Hold on. This is ridiculous, man. Let me see here. Big old Steve Bannon, the loudmouth from Maga's family, wasn't even here in 1776. He was not here for the War of Independence, the Independent War. Let me see something here. Now let me see. But these MAGA people talk like their family's been here the whole time. Your family might have, like my family, both sides were here before any of that. You see what I'm saying? They were here at the conception of the United States of America, even leading up to the conception. And then you got MAGA people like Steve Bannon. Their family ain't even come to America. They didn't have nothing to do with dying for the independence of the United States of America. Zero. And we went over that yesterday. Who else? Who did we talk about yesterday? They had a Trump. Trump's family came after the Civil War. After the Civil War, Trump's family have nothing to do with the War of Independence from Britain, right? Or the Civil War. Zero. They had nothing to do. They're the benefactors of all that bloodshed. They didn't spill a goddamn drop of blood, Trump's family. And now you look at Steve Bannon's family. Look, the big mouth who was promoting him, right? Steve Big Mouth Bannon, right? Look at this. The 1976 Restoration Movement, right? That's what they call it. 1976. Here we go. 1976 Restoration Movement. You see? Why you want to restore it? You weren't even here, bro. Look at this. Look at this. Look.
Other witnesses, they give other testimony other than what
this is big ass going to jail for crimes talking all that stuff, MAGA, 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 and his family wasn't even here during the War of 1776. What the hell is he talking about? They're phonies. Yo, people got to start checking this stuff, man. Look, I'm going to say it again. Joe Biden's family was here almost 100 years, or almost, what is it, 70, 80 years, maybe 100 years, maybe, before Donald Trump's family. Why is Donald Trump talking about MAGA? Donald Trump's family wasn't here for the Civil War. He wasn't here for the War of Independence. They ain't know nothing about America. But yet they talking about 1776. Now you find out Bannon, Steve Bannon, right? The dude is the leader of the 1776 restoration movement. His family wasn't here in 1776. His family have nothing to do with the War of Independence for the United States of America. Zero. They weren't here. They were not here. They were not, well, not here. They were not in the United States of, they were not in America. You see what I'm saying? And listen to how they talk, y'all. Listen.
What they've been putting up. So we'll see you here tomorrow morning.
Yeah, there you go, Andrea. Sorry about the delay. This is incredible. You peep what I was just saying, Andrea? Steve Bannon. Hold on. Now, let me see something. I was about to say something before you came on here. We're talking about Steve Bannon. He's not the only one. Steve Bannon's not the only one. They're frauds. A lot of these people are frauds talking about 1776. They talking like their families were here. Their families got nada. Steve Bannon's family got nothing to do with the War of Independence. His family was nowhere near was nowhere near America. Just like Donald Trump's family was nowhere near America during the War of Independence. In fact, Donald Trump's family wasn't nowhere near America during the Civil War. Nowhere near. They got some nerve complaining. And they got some nerve talking about they own the place when their families shed no blood. Hold on. They're phonies. I mean, they real phonies if you ask me. But let me check something out here. Let me see something here. 2 seconds. Okay, now let me go to Steve Bannon's joint. Okay, now Steve Bannon's family was here 10 years or so, a decade, maybe a decade and a half before the Civil War. That's it. But they were not here for the War of Independence. You see what I'm saying? You see what I mean? So, folks, we got to stop letting people get away with talking like they own something that they didn't have jack shit to do with. Steve Bannon's family had nothing to do with the independence of the United States of America from Britain. Zero. And he needs to be told that. Folks need to tell him. People need to ask him straight up, where was your family in 1776? That's what they need to do. That's what I'm going to ask him. This is the fool. He's been promoting Trump the whole time. Trump's family wasn't even here during the damn Civil War, let alone the War of Independence. You know, but these dudes, they talk a whole lot. Now, guess what? Who's the guy who got the InfoWars? What's his name? The dude from InfoWars? Let's look his ass up now too. The dude from InfoWars. Let's look him up. Let's see. What's his name? The dude from InfoWars. Let's see here. InfoWars. What's his daggone name? Alex Jones. Okay. Let's see here. Where was Alex Jones' family? When did Alex Jones' family migrate to America? Alex Jones. Is it? Hold on, let me see. How do you spell his name? just to make sure. Okay, Jones. Right, Jones. Joneses. When did the founder of InfoWars, maybe I should have put a now let's see. I don't know. I never seen it before. What? Alex Jones, the founder of InfoWars, has roots in the United States that go back several generations. That don't sound long, y'all. His family, particularly from the father's side, has been in Texas for quite some time. Uh, Specific details about when his family migrated to America are not widely documented. However, given the history of European migration to Texas, it is likely that his ancestors arrived in the United States during the 19th century or earlier, okay? Which aligns with the common migration patterns of that era. So look, I'm telling you, when these people don't talk about their family's roots, you should start asking questions because Joe Biden talked about his family roots when they came. It's public information. Donald Trump, it's public information. And it turns out that Donald Trump's family wasn't even here during the Civil War. They came after, decades after the Civil War. How come Alex Jones never talk about where his family from? How come he never says when they came to the United States of America? How come he never talk about that? If you want to know, it's because their ethnicities came during the 19th century. There's other ethnicities of people that came earlier to the United States of America, like the French. The French came in this what? When did hold on? Let's look this up. It's very simple to see. Look, when did the French come to America? 16th century. You see, these dates are much earlier. Much earlier. You see, they had towns, settlements, all this stuff. You see this? Look, there's a long history in America of the French, the British. Look. When did the British first come to America? 16th century, 17th century. You see? Spanish, 16th, 15th century, 16th, all of these groups. So when you don't hear about who these people are, when you don't hear nothing about their families, that's a strong indication that their families weren't even here during the War of Independence, right? Steve Bannon's family wasn't here. He's a well-known Trumper. Talking about 1776. What could be more hypocritical than talking about 1776 and your own damn family had nothing to do with it? What could be more critical? That's an important day for you? No. You came here off of the backs of other people's blood. And you talking like you own the place. You talking like you get to build a wall. You talking like, damn, like you was one of the founding fathers' children or some shit. That's how they all talk. Can you find any information about when their family came? They're scammers. They're scammers. Now, who else should we look up? What other MAGA right winger talks about 1776, talks about building walls, talking about our founding fathers? Yo, how are they your founding fathers when you weren't even anywhere around when they did the shit? How's that possible? It's not possible. So let's see. Just just give me a name, Andrea. Just give me a name. All right, let me see here. Let me see. Who else can I look up? How about the Heritage Foundation? Let's see who's around for the Heritage Foundation. All right. Who's involved with the Heritage Foundation? Let's see. All right. Okay. The founder. Let's go to the founder of the Heritage Foundation. Right? Let's start there. Let's go with the founder. This is the founder, right? He's born in 1972. Look at his name, Paul Michael Weyrach. The Heritage Foundation. Heritage. Look, his father was a German immigrant. 1960? Hold on. No, he graduated in 1960. Hold on. Okay. Ordination. Da da da. Well, let's look it up. Let's see. Let's see what it do. Chat GDP. Let's see. Heritage Foundation. You know, they talking big stuff about MAGA, right? When did they MAGA all the way? Right? Family migrate to America. Oh, well, looky here. You see what this says? You see what this says? The 20th century. What the fuck? These dudes are scam artists. They are bogus. They bogus. They bogus. They bogus. The dude from the Heritage Foundation, the founder of the Heritage Foundation, wasn't even around when the country was being founded. Wasn't around during the War of Independence. Wasn't around during the Civil War. God damn, he wasn't even around during the. Let me see. What do this say? 20th century. I mean, was he even around during the Civil Rights era? Was he around during Vietnam? Even was he around during the Korean War? You know, these people talk big game. So we see here the founder of the Heritage Foundation got nada to do with 1776. He's a fraud. He's a United States of American talking about the founders' fraud. He should never talk about the founders. He have absolutely nothing to do with the founding fathers of the United States of America. He was nowhere close. They did not know his family. It's like he was off in some other country living his best life. And where was that? Paul Michael Weyrach, a prominent conservative political. Hold on, let me let Chat GDP do some of this.
Paul Michael Weyrach, a prominent conservative political activist and co-founder of the Heritage Foundation, was of Slovak descent. His father, Ignatius A. Weyrach, was an immigrant from Czechoslovakia. Specific details about the exact date of Ignatius Weyrach's migration to the United States are not widely documented. However, given the general pattern of Central European immigration to the U.S., it is likely that his father immigrated in the early 20th century, a period when many Slovak immigrants were coming to America due to economic opportunities and political conditions in Europe.
Folks, these kind of people, if it's not public, it's likely because they don't want you to know. And it's very likely they don't want you to know when their families migrated to the United States because they're frauds. They had nothing to do with no War of Independence. And a lot of them got nothing to do like Trump, like this guy, nothing to do with no Civil War. Why do they keep talking about that like they were around, like they know something better than somebody else? They don't have any personal knowledge. They don't have any family stories about it, right? Any souvenirs? No family heirlooms? No nothing like that from the United States? Nothing? You see what I mean? Nothing passed down from somebody? Nothing, because they weren't here. Who's next? Let me see here. That was the founder of the Heritage Foundation. Now, let me just put that back up on the screen here. Paul Weyrich, right? We can go backwards. Now, who else was a founder? Edwin Fulner. Here's Edwin Fulner, y'all. He is. Here we go. See that? He founded the think tank, the Heritage Foundation, in 1973. Let's see what it do. Let's take his name, put it down there, blah, blah, blah. See what ChatGPT say about his migration patterns. Let's see here. Here we go. When did Fulner's family migrate to America? And let me just put a question mark there. Fulner's, do that right? When did the founder of the Heritage Foundation, let's do that right, just to make sure, y'all, because here we go. So let's ask. "19th century. Is another German.
Edwin Fulner, the founder of the Heritage Foundation, comes from a family of German descent. His ancestors likely migrated to the United States during the 19th century, which was a common period for German immigration to America. However, specific details about the exact timing and circumstances of his family's migration are not widely documented. Many German families came to the U.S. during this time for various reasons, including economic opportunities, political unrest, and religious freedom."
Now, I'm gonna say it again. My family did not come to America in the 19th century. They came in the 17th century. You know, and I'm talking about the 17th century obviously starts in 16 something. You see what I'm saying? So these folks talking about the Heritage Foundation, I mean, I need to start an organization talking about American heritage. You know what I'm saying? Where I'm excluding people like this that talk shit. Now, I don't have a problem with anybody migrating to the U.S., but I have a problem with the people that talk shit about having something to do with the foundings of the country when their own families were nowhere around, had no association with America, had no association with the United States, had no association even with the damn colonies. Like, what the hell? You know what I'm saying? Like, they're frauds. They're frauds. So we got Donald Trump, Steve Bannon, this fool, Edwin Fulner, right? We got the other founder, Paul Weyrich. Four of them. Four. That's four. 1, 2, 3, 4. Only one of them, and that's Steve Bannon. Only one of them's family was around during even the Civil War. None of their families were around during the War of Independence. So none of their families had nothing to do with founding the United States of America. None of their families had anything to do with 1776. Zero. That's four of them. Who else? By the way, I want to say Joe Biden's family actually came before the Civil War. some decades, I believe 4 decades before the Civil War. So that's like a generation before the Civil War, right? Trump's family came 20 to 30 years after the Civil War. Um, right. Maybe a little more. I'm going to check that out. But there's some distance. There's like a generation of distance between Trump and Biden's families migrating to the U.S. At least Biden's family came before the Civil War. Trump's family didn't. Trump's family came decades after the Civil War. You see what I mean? Um, but again, none of the MAGA people's families so far that I come across, the big wigs were around in 1776. Yet they talking about 1776 like they was around. Man, stop riding somebody else's coattails. Stop riding people's coattails. People you have nothing to do with. Those people probably wouldn't even like your ass. I'll even say that, there's no proof that the founding fathers would have liked Steve Bannon's family or the founders of the Heritage Foundation. There's no proof they would have liked their families either, because they had nothing to do with them. This is ridiculous. All right, let me just go back now. Alrighty, so let's see here. Let's see, what could we do? Heritage Foundation. Boom. Now let me see who are the top people in MAGA. MAGA movement, right? Okay. Let's go and see if they got any names. Okay, we got Donald Trump, but his family wasn't around for the War of Independence or the Civil War. So we don't even need to go to him. He's a late one, but he wanted to build a wall, but they didn't want to fight. Their families weren't here to have nothing to do with no founding of the United States of America. You know what? Look at this. Trump is the third president in the history after Andrew Johnson in 1868 and Bill Clinton to be impeached. Damn. All right. Hold on. No, let me see here. Who are the founders of MAGA? Is that Trump? It's a super PAC. Okay. Who else? Any names? Here we go. We got a name. Tony Fabrizi. This should not be a shock to you. I'm willing to guess zero relation to Civil War, zero relation to the War of Independence. But let's check it out. Tony Fabrizio, right? Republican pollster, strategist. He was a pollster for Donald Trump. And what does it say here? MAGA Incorporated. So he's one of the top dudes in MAGA Incorporated, directors, right? Yeah, he's a director. So let's find out if his family got anything to do with any bloodshed for the country's independence or even the Civil War. Let me see here. When did the director of MAGA Zio's family migrate to America? Question mark. In the back. Let's go. Another person that had nothing to do with it.
Tony Fabrizio, a prominent pollster and political strategist known for his work with Donald Trump's campaign, is of Italian descent. Specific details about when his family migrated to America are not widely documented. However, given the large waves of Italian immigration to the United States, it is likely that his ancestors arrived during the late 19th or early 20th century. During this period, many Italians migrated to the United States seeking economic opportunities and escaping political and social turmoil in Italy.
Oh. Don't you find this really ridiculous? It's very suspicious. They don't talk about their families because they don't want you to know because their families wasn't around. Look, there's certain ethnicities that came to America in the 17th century, 15th century, 17th century, and 18th century. There's certain ethnicities, right? But generally speaking, a person of this kind of clout talking about MAGA, MAGA, MAGA and make America great again in 1776, normally they'd be talking about when their family came. They would make a statement somewhere on public record. These people are so fraudulent, they don't even want you to know because they're frauds. If people find out that these jokers got nothing to do with 1776, the whole damn thing is going to fall apart. Plus, it's obvious that their connection and their passion got zero to do with 1776 or even the Civil War. Their connection is basically white supremacy. Basically, that's their connection. If you ask me, that's what it really looks like. Now, let's go back and see what else we can find. All right, now who else is a big wig in MAGA? Okay, hold on. Who's to say here? GOP operative? Okay, hold on. Right. Here we go. Oh, hold on. Before we do that, let's go over to Tucker Carlson because he really Tucker Carlson, boy, he really gets down on this one. Yeah, so let's see here. Now let's see. When did Tucker Carlson's family migrate to America? Who knows, man? Maybe it's Okay, Swedes.
Tucker Carlson, a well-known television host and political commentator, has a family background that includes various European ancestries. His father's side of the family, the Carlsons, has Swedish roots, while his mother's side, the Lombard family, is primarily of English and German descent. The details of when Tucker Carlson's ancestors migrated to America are not widely documented in public records. However, given the general patterns of European immigration to the United States. Swedish immigration. Many Swedish immigrants came to the United States during the late 19th and early 20th centuries, primarily for economic opportunities and to escape poverty and religious conflicts. 2. English and German immigration. English immigrants began arriving in the United States as early as the 17th century, with significant waves during the colonial period. German immigration was substantial in the 18th and 19th centuries, driven by economic hardship, political unrest, and religious persecution. Considering these patterns, it's likely that Tucker Carlson's ancestors migrated to the United States over several generations, with his Swedish ancestors possibly arriving in the late 19th or early 20th century, and his English and German ancestors potentially arriving much earlier.
All right, it's possible. Okay, this is interesting though because on Wiki it has some other information here. So let me go back to Wiki real quick. This is Tucker Carlson. So we've gone through so far five, Tucker's the sixth, five MAGA, big MAGA people, and only one of them seems to have families that migrated to the United States um, before the Civil War. The only one that I could find out of the five is Steve Bannon. His family came right before the Civil War, but they were not here. They didn't migrate to America during the War of Independence. They had nothing to do with that. And the rest of these MAGA people, they had nothing to do with the War of Independence, it seems, or the Civil War. So far, it's only been Steve Bannon that's been confirmed. Maybe Tucker Carlson now, maybe. But listen, this is bad because Donald Trump's family was nowhere near America during the War of Independence or the Civil War. uh, and loads of other ones were nowhere near. But let's check it out. Oh, sorry, y'all. Y'all couldn't hear me. Let me see here. Uh, so what does this say here? It said Carlson's brother. Okay, I'm sorry. Carlson's paternal grandparents were Richard Boynton and Dorothy Anderson, who were teenagers when they placed his father at the home of blah blah blah. Um, yeah. So let me see. Let me see here. It says where he was fostered. Hold on. Now let me see here. Um, where he fostered by Carl. Where he was fostered. Okay, foster parents. What? Hold on. This is interesting, y'all. Carlson's paternal grandparents were Richard Boynton and Dorothy Anderson, who were teenagers when they placed his father at the home for the Little Wanderers orphanage, where he was fostered by Carl Moberger of Malden near Boston, a damn, tannery worker of Swedish descent, and his wife Florence Moberger, Carlson's father. Okay. Oh, Carlson's father was adopted at the age of 2 by upper middle class New Englanders. Look, this is very interesting. Somebody talking a whole lot of shit. The Carlsons, an executive at the Winslow Brothers and Smith's Tannery of Norwood, the oldest tannery in America, and his wife Carlson's maternal great great grandfather was Henry Miller, a cattle king, who at one point in the late 19th century was one of the largest landowners in the United States. Okay, the cattle king, but this is the 19th century, so that's 18 something. Carlson's maternal great great grandfather Caesar Lombardi immigrated to New York from Switzerland in 1860. Carlson was also a distant relative of Massachusetts politician Ebenezer R. Hoare and George M. Brooks. Okay. Carlson, but we talking about, let me see something. I want to look and see who that is. Carlson himself was named after great 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 grandfather J.C. Tucker and his great great grandfather George W. McNair. Okay. He's starting to sound like he's been around. So Carlson of 132nd. Oh, okay. Carlson is one of 32nd Italian Swiss ancestry. In 1976, Carlson's parents divorced. Okay, I don't want to know all of that. But let me see something here. So you could say it says he's mixed, right? It says he's mixed. What else does it say? Oh, did I flip it? Let me see. Party, San Francisco, Dick Carlson. Right. It says he's mixed European. You could say. Um, he have some British in him, blood. So that's that. That could be pretty early. Um, that could be around the war of that could be around the War of Independence, right? Clearly, it could be. So let me just divert now back over to, just to be clear here, just to make sure. Okay. Considering the patterns, okay, 19th century, nah. His family was here before. His family was here in the 1800s. They know that for sure. But is there anything earlier? So let me see here. Is there anything earlier? Maybe Dan White? Okay. Come up. Okay, so let me see something. Henry Miller. Okay, Carlson's maternal great great. So let's do this. Henry Miller, rancher. Yeah, let's check that out. Where the hell is Brackenheim? It's Germany. So look, um, so listen, I think we're breaking the code here. It doesn't appear that Carlson Tucker's family was in the United States. Well, not his great 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 grandfather, maternal grandfather. Let's see here again. Carlson's maternal great 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 grandfather, Henry Miller, was not in the United States until um, until sometime in the mid 18th century. So so he missed definitely the War of Independence. Look, he moved to California. Hold on, New York, 1840. Okay, here we go. Look, he migrated in 1846. So at least he was around for the Civil War, right? Um, it sounds like it. 40 years before the Civil War. So at least he got that going for him. But let me put that back up on the screen so y'all can see what I'm reading. I'm sorry about that. That's not Bannon. That's Here we go. This is Tucker Carlson's great 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 maternal grandfather, and he didn't come. So one side is definitely didn't come until the mid 1800s. Now let me go back. Let me go back here. That's his great 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 maternal grandfather. Okay. Okay. Carlson's maternal great great grandfather. Let me see. Okay. Now let me see. Does it talk about his maternal great 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 grandmother? But he was adopted somehow. It says that Carlson's father was adopted. Okay, that's his father. But it doesn't say nothing about his mom. Okay, let me see here. Let me go Control F. Mother. Oops. Hmm. Okay, let me see. Let me ask a question. Let me go back over to Chat GDP. I'm telling y'all, don't take these people's word for nothing. Because they like to own things by theft and just saying that they, 1776 and claiming that their families have been around or making comments like their families have been around since the beginning of the country. And for a lot of them, that is not true. And for others, a few of them, even the few, it may not be exactly true at all. It may not even be that far back. So far, I haven't found one. It's possible, but as you can see, there's no information about it. And why would a person not have, like, why would a person like Maga, why would a person like Tucker Carlson, why would these kind of people not have any public records about when their families came to the United or came to America, when their whole thing is about their founding fathers being related to the people that founded America and brought the society? You see what I mean? So when did Tucker Carlson's uh, maternal great great grandmother, is that what it's called? Maternal great great grand. Let me see something here. Is it maternal great great grandmother? Is that what I said? Okay, maybe not. Maternal great great grandmother migrate to the migrate to America. Okay, we know when his great great grandfather. Look at this. Look at this. You see, y'all? You see? His family was not around during the War of Independence. His family came 100 years later almost. That's like 3 generations later. Before the Civil War, this is 5 years before the Civil War. Before the Civil War, 5 years before the Civil War, but they was nowhere around during the War of Independence. Um, uh, right. Right, which was 1783. So, you know, they not around. That's really strange. And it gives you an eye into the egos and to the delusion that runs through these people's minds because they talk like they somehow better than somebody else. When in fact, when it comes to the War of Independence, when it comes to the Civil War, none of these people got shit on my family. I'm just putting it out there for you. Obviously, you have to know there's a lot of ethnicities that came to the United States of America even before the War of Independence. Like a lot of them were slaves too. A lot of them were European migrants, and a lot of them were slaves. But there's certain ethnicities, so you got to look out for that. There's a lot of people that came in the 18th and the 19th century, um, acting like they had something to do with the founding of the country when they absolutely had zero to do with it. And then they want to tell somebody else's their place. You know, it's bizarre. It's really bizarre. Now let me see. Let's go back. Let's go back. Continue. Let's go continue. Let's see who else we can dig up. Who else is going to be there? Okay. Chris Lakivita. I can already tell you this is not a name that sounds too, but you don't want to, I don't want to assume. So Let me just take a look here while I'm on this page. Early life, early then blah 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 blah. National. Okay, so early life. So Italian and Irish. Okay, he served in the Persian Gulf War. So this is not an old person, man. This person ain't even that old. Born in 666. Okay. Uh, okay. Now let me see something. Let me copy this. Okay. Just to make sure I'm not dissing anybody, but a lot of these MAGA people, their families were not even in the United States with the founding of the country, with the War of Independence. And a lot of them barely even make the Civil War. Only a few barely even make the Civil War so far. Trump didn't make the Civil War even. His family wasn't even in the country during the Civil War. They came after the Civil War, decades after. Steve Bannon's family came a decade or two before the Civil War, but neither one of them families were around for the War of Independence, the founding of the United States, 1776. None of them were around for that. They wasn't around, their families, nowhere to be found. But they claiming like Make America Great Again, 1776. They're claiming like they have something to do with the founding of the country. Man, y'all family ain't has shit to do with the founding of the country. So far, nada. My family did. Not Yones. You see what I'm saying? And it is delusional what is running through their brains. They've made themselves believe that they're connected to it when they're not. Imagine that. That's insane, but it is facts. So let me see here. Let me flip over. Let me flip over to this chat. Let me see here. When did family migrate to America? This one, you never know what this one's going to say because there's been Spanish people in America, in the Americas since, but this ain't an American, this ain't a Spanish name, since the 1600s. Okay, well-known strategist. Let me just play this here. See what it says.
Christopher Joseph La Civita, a well-known political strategist, comes from a family of Italian descent. Specific details about when his family migrated to America are not widely documented in public sources. However, it's common for Italian immigration to the United States to have occurred primarily in the late 19th and early 20th centuries.
Okay, so I'm gonna divert back to Wiki and see what they say here. They do have a little bit of information on it. Let me see. But I just wanted to see if we could find more now. It says here, his father was a first generation Italian American and his mother was a first generation Irish American. So there you have it, y'all. So his ass ain't even been in America, but for, one generation. He's the first, 2 generations. That's it. Nowhere close to the Civil War. Nowhere close to the War of Independence. But they talking about MAGA, yo. What we're looking up today is the leaders, the founders, the big wigs in MAGA and the Heritage Foundation too. I'm going to get more into the Heritage Foundation. And so far, y'all, it's not looking good at all for none of them. Especially when you compare them to me and my family. Because my family was around back then. You see what I'm saying? Discovering shit even. You could say. Also being worked to death. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Or almost to death. Yeah, but anyway, y'all, I'm going to take a pause right now. You see where I'm coming from. I'm going to do a part 2 later on today. I was a little late with this one, but I just wanted to do this to get the mind percolating and get people to think about this. Don't let folks pull the Jedi mind trick on you just because they talking about 1776, because it looks like most of them had zero to do with 1776. Most of them, only a couple of them were around so far. Out of the 8 people, I think only 2 of them have family members that were around before the Civil War, but they weren't around in 1776 during the founding of the country. The rest of them, 6 out of 8, the rest of the 8, which is 6, their families ain't had nothing to do with either one, the Civil War or the War of Independence. So, it's worth noting. So when you listen to them, you get to listen to how delusional, how phony they are, and do something with it. So I'll be back with y'all later on this evening. I appreciate y'all. Peace. To all the peeps close to me and dear to me, the ones that's been there for my whole life.